Well, I think Eduardo Frei has not been the most charismatic. The Concertación candidate has not been the most charismatic, and there was a third candidate that drew a lot of that split the progressive or left or democratic vote. I think Chile is the first in a number of elections that actually may lead to a fracturing of the political landscape a little bit in South America. I mean, in the last couple of years, we've really seen, with the exception of Colombia and Peru, a solid center-left to left-left coalition governing South America, and Chile may change that. There's an election coming up at the end of the year in Brazil that's going to be key. Now, in both of these cases, it's important to note that the right or the conservative candidate is actually running on a quite moderate program. There has been a shift in discourse. Piñera is trying to present himself as a kind of face of modern conservative, not the old Cold War authoritarians that we're seeing on display on parade in Honduras, but somebody's at peace with the modern world. Piñera has even to some degree embraced a program of some extension of rights to same-sex couples. I mean, this is all quite a break from the old Pinochet right. So there has been this move left in terms of the discourse. I do think symbolically, though, and diplomatically, and when crises like this flare up, it does make a difference if there's somebody that imagines themselves a person of the left as opposed to somebody who imagines themselves a person of the right.
And Greg's talking left-right, and a lot of the coverage is left-right frames, Sujatha, but to what extent are these really left-right ideological battles? What else is at stake?
I mean, I think in Chile, that's how it has been framed, as left-right, but if you look at the policies of the Concertación over the last, since 1990 when they came into office, they have followed a mix of kind of neoliberal policies along with some welfare-oriented policies, so it's not necessarily that they represented a divergence from the previous government. I also think that another factor that's at play here somewhat is the next generation, is that one of the things that was pretty marked in Chile has been on the one hand, the mobilization of young people and students and their involvement in politics, but at the same time, they're kind of somewhat of a distancing from the electoral system. And, and these are young people who didn't live through the coup. They were, not yet born in 1973 when all of that happened and all of that went down. And so they're a generation that isn't necessarily at the forefront of their mind the kind of horrors and atrocities that happened under the Pinochet government. So I think that's possibly another factor.
Well, what's happening in Chile is that there's a lot of malaise and disgust towards the center-left coalition that Frei represents. That's what's allowed the conservative candidate, Piñera, to come along and essentially run as the change candidate. And that's malaise is kind of what allowed Ominami, the young, dynamic, progressive guy, to really spark so much enthusiasm. People they really see the left right now as an entrenched, as a bunch of elites who aren't held accountable for their political actions. And people are really looking for alternatives, which is why, strangely enough, the conservative candidate became the voice of change, and you had Marco Ominami come along and become, create this alternative political movement as well.